expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found, my potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we're talking about this, that, and everything in between. And man, I told y'all I had trouble trying to get stuff listed for the show because every time I get ready to start talking about something, this man to come and did something else. And I'm sitting over here thinking, man, I'm not going to get me a lineup for quite a while because Trump that came over here and started talking about some stuff this week again. Man ain't even got into the office yet, and he done already made some jaw drops, make some people mad, and I'm just sitting over here like, wow, we got so much going on that we can't even move forward before like history in the making is happening. So today, we're looking at a lot of the revolutions that are being claimed by Donald Trump, and some of the stuff that's being stated throughout the weekend that people are talking about, and we're gonna hash out some of the stuff that's true, some of the stuff that's just overstated, and we're gonna get to the bottom of some of these things. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe, because I mean, y'all make us who we are. If y'all got some questions or comments y'all want to throw into the comments section, if you want to be on the show in real time, you can click this link. You can approve the mic, approve the camera, get on here in real time as long as you're over the age of 18, because this is an adult podcast. But keep your comments appropriate. Open mic, open forum, open-minded discussions. So I mean, you don't have to agree with what I have to say, and I don't have to agree with what you have to say, but we can sit here and talk about the topics at hand. So here on This and That, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between, we're going to be talking about a lot of things today. But today we're kind of trying to theme it around all of the new things that has been declared about the taxes that's supposed to be happening in 4 years that could have us had hoped. Remember, we're live 7 nights a week. We typically start about 16 minutes ago at about 10 o'clock Central Time, which is 11 o'clock Eastern Time, 7 o'clock California time. California's still burning to the ground. Going to keep giving you updates on that while we are 48 hours away from TikTok going dark. We are going to keep giving you information on that as well. Make sure that you guys join me as we are diving into this particular challenge about the breakdown of Trump's 2025 tax revolution and what it really means for the rest of us. So we've all been waiting for it, and it's finally here. Trump's 2025 tax revolution is set to shake the economy to its core, and individual taxpayers will be impacted in a big way. With promises to cut red tape, boost economic growth, and put more money back in our pockets, this reform has the potential to be a game changer. But what does it really entail, and how will it affect you? The current tax system is a mess, and we all know it. It's overly complicated, unfair, and downright frustrating. Many of us feel like we're throwing our hard-earned money down the black hole with no end in sight. The tax code is riddled with loopholes, and big corporations often end up paying less than their fair share. And it's no wonder citizens are fed up and demanding changes. Year after year, we're forced to navigate the tendencies and time-consuming process of filing taxes. And this is a very tedious tendency. Only to be left feeling like we're being taken advantage of, because a lot of us were doing all right until we finished doing our taxes, come to find out that our boss didn't take enough money out of our check, and now we got to take our bill money and send it to the IRS because we have to make sure that we are not in default on our taxes, because they will start garnishing wages, seizing assets, freezing bank accounts. It's a system that's crying out for reform, and Trump's tax revolution promises to be that answer. But can it really deliver on its lofty promises? The dissatisfaction with the current tax system is palpable. We're tired of feeling like we're being held hostage by outdated and unfair systems, and it's time for a change. And Trump's tax revolution is being touted as the solution we've all been waiting for. But what exactly does it entail, and will it really make a difference in our lives? Trump's proposed tax changes are designed to stimulate economic growth, increasing competitiveness, and simplify the tax code by slashing rates, eliminating loopholes, and reducing the burden on small businesses and individuals. The plan aims to put more money back in our pockets and give the economy a much needed boost. Typically, because the bottom 99% of Americans spend every dollar that they get. So if Donald Trump puts more money back into the pockets of the bottom 99%, the bottom 99% will go on a spending spree, almost like that episode on The Simpsons. And that will stimulate the economy. But guess where the money parks itself? In the bank account of the shareholders of the companies that we're spending all of our money in. So think about that. But how would these changes impact the broader economy? And what are the potential downsides? One of the most significant proposed changes is the reduction in the corporate tax rate by slashing the rate from 35 to 20. Trump's plan aims to make the U.S. more competitive on a global stage now, and this could lead to a surge in our economic growth, increased investments, and more jobs. Notice how Bitcoin is still hovering at almost $100,000. However, critics argue that this could also lead to a blowout in the national deficit. Another key aspect of this plan is simplification of the tax code by eliminating loopholes and deductions, where Trump's revolutionary promise is to make filing taxes easier and fairer for everyone. So this could lead to significant reductions in tax preparation costs and decrease in number of audits. However, some argue that this could also lead to a loss of crucial revenue stream for the government. The proposed changes also includes a reduction in the number of tax brackets from 7 to 3. He did claim during his campaign that he was going to have 2, where there would be a 30% and a 15%. But either way, this could lead to a significant reduction in tax rates for many Americans, putting more money back into their pockets. However, critics argue that this could also lead to an increase in inequality, and as the wealth continues to be beneficial at the expense of the poor and middle class. So the wealthy is going to see a lot more of the money staying in their pockets than the less fortunate. And that's going to be one of the costs of inflation due to the tariffs that's going to be raising the cost for import export. So those of us that are going to have less money to pay in taxes, we're still going to be paying more money for the cost of products. So our dollar for dollar value is going to be significantly less. When I did that show a week or two ago about inflation and its impact on the value or your spending power per se, that even though you're making a larger quantity of money because your money goes a shorter distance, you actually have to make a significantly larger quantity of money in order to offset the expense. Max Opposer's in the house. What's going on, bro? How's Joe doing? What's that going on? And one of the most controversial aspects of Trump's tax plan is the proposed elimination of the estate tax. So look, y'all, I tell you what, anybody who got money in their family, you're going to want that estate tax to disappear. But I mean, you could throw all your stuff into a trust and you still don't have to worry about that estate tax. Either way, this tax is also known as the death tax. So this is levied on the estate of the deceased. And the estate is not just the house, it's all the assets that the deceased had. And that quantity of assets has a dollar value to it, and that dollar value is considered a profit to you, which actually turns into taxable income for you. But you also have to understand that along with that person's positive assets, you also bring in that person's debt. So he says that he bought a property in Egypt. What should you do now? Well, I mean, I told you that if you bought a property in Egypt and you're not living in Egypt, you should turn it into a rental property so that you can collect revenue from Egypt. Matter of fact, if you're buying a property in a different country, you open up a bank account in a different country, leave your money in that country. That's the only country you got to pay taxes on, because the only thing that the American government is going to know about is the money that you're claiming from the American government. But when we start talking about tax evasion, you got to start dealing with the fact that if you don't report everything and they decide to audit it and they see a wire transfer to another country, and then for some reason they get access to information that goes to show that that money belongs to you, then they can get you for tax evasion. So you want to be sure that you be careful about that. He says, what is the best way to avoid phantom taxes? Well, what's going on, Wacky Z? What is the best way to avoid paying taxes? That'll be a how would you put that? The auto correct messed you up there. One of the best ways to avoid having to pay taxes is to technically have on paper more debt than you owe. A lot of the small businesses with the LLCs and the C corporations have this capability of doing so. Things like buying vehicles and getting 100% depreciation value in the first year. Things like buying properties and getting taxable deductions for the mortgage rates. Things like taking out cash loans and using those cash loans because debt repayment is not a profit. See what I'm saying? So if you borrow $100,000, just because you got $100,000 this year doesn't mean that you have $100,000, because you're paying on the person that you borrowed the $100,000 from. So, and this is when we were talking about the difference between loans being loans and loans being investments, because if you can borrow against a loan with a lower interest rate and put it into a stock option with a higher interest rate, the difference between the interest rate of the loan versus the interest rate of the stock is the cost of doing business, and the profit on top of that goes into your pocket. So we were talking about that on the show before. Make sure you guys like and subscribe as you slide through. So I just want to tell you that if you bought a property and you're paying on a mortgage, tax deduction. Right now you're paying on student loans, tax deduction. I told you guys before, if you got kids in public school and you're donating money to the public school to improve their budget, tax deduction. You know, there's a lot of things that you can do that is a tax deduction, but you're going to be spending money somewhere. The only difference is instead of you handing a chunk of change to the 500 guys that don't have to work so that they can receive a salary to make laws that piss you off, instead of doing that, you could put your money in places where you would prefer to see improvement financially, and then you would be able to use that as a tax deduction or tax write-off if you're donating to nonprofit scenarios, because a public school is a nonprofit scenario. It's government funded and it runs out of money when the budget runs out. So if you add money to the budget and stimulate the budget, that they're going to buy more stuff. So, but your kid gets treated better in school because the teachers are going to love the fact that you're supplying their everything, and you end up getting a better way to go instead of having to pay for private school. Because if you take the money from private school and pay for public school, you end up having the same quality education if everybody did it, because it's a tax deduction. But private school isn't a tax deduction because it's private school. It's just paying a bill. So while many proponents argue that it's unfair taxes that penalizes hardworking Americans, critics argue that it's a crucial revenue stream for the government and helps to reduce income inequality. That is a big lie. But President-elect Donald Trump has announced plans to establish a new agency called the External Revenue Service. I know y'all have seen it all over the place, which intends to launch on January 20th, 2025, coinciding with his inauguration. This agency ain't, so this is going to be the day after TikTok is banned that we're going to have an External Revenue Service.